Hi, you all. I'm Jeneve Brooks, sociologist and protest music scholar. I hope you are keeping faith, hope, and love alive, even in the midst of these trying times. Thank you so much for checking out my channel, which highlights high-energy protest music to move our bodies, hearts, and minds towards collective evolution. Like most of you, I have been heartsick about the Epstein files and the lack of justice for the Epstein survivors. We've sat by and watched other countries take action against their leaders, but it's been like crickets here in the US in terms of rigorous investigations and/or prosecutions. And then I wake up to the news that Israel has used preemptive strikes in Iran, with the US coordinating along with them. This is illegal and immoral in the US context. It's against the US Constitution and the UN Charter. Only Congress should decide acts of war. And I've seen the polling that 8 out of 10 Americans, regardless of political party, don't want to get involved in Iran and have another pointless war. But now the Ayatollah Khomeini is supposedly dead, and the justification being sold to us was that this was all about regime change. But the question becomes, first off, well, two questions. Why should we be doing regime change in another sovereign country? And secondly, why are we doing this now? And that second question, I think many of you think, and I do too, that literally Trump will do anything, even help start World War III possibly, to deflect from the Epstein files and all the major concerns that have come to light recently. The timing of this war is very suspect. So I vow to you on this channel that I will not stop speaking out for justice for the Epstein survivors, and we all need to continue speaking out and putting the pressure on. And at the end of today's video, I'll get into some sociological theorizing around social movements and why it's important that we keep up this pressure. And yes, we will also speak out now against the war in Iran. Who knows how long this will go? And the myriad other issues that we are concerned about under the Trump regime. The attacks on democracy, the abject cruelty of the immigration policy, the lack of health care, affordability. But through it all, a spotlight will continue to be cast on the Epstein case. I'm not looking away, nor should you. So for this week, I wanted to highlight the amazing feminist anthem protest song from Chile entitled "A Rapist in Your Path," which is a fitting song to highlight for the ongoing Epstein rape, sexual abuse scandal, and the importance of empowering women. If you haven't checked out my first dance video to this song, there are actually two. There's a link to a 1-minute short I created, and also the 2-minute dance video below. It is my hope that we can revitalize this protest song and that we can perform this chant dance all across the US at the upcoming No Kings protests on March 28th. And just an aside, finding high energy protest music to dance to, which is the purpose of this channel, for us to come together and dance out our collective angst and anxiety and become familiar with cool protest music while releasing emotion and building community. And I just have to say that my natural preference is usually for protest music that is more funky, something like Edwin Starr's War, which, spoiler alert, I probably will be doing next week because of this war in Iran. But I am looking for danceable protest music, and literally, I'm finding that runs the gamut from ska to reggae to punk to hardcore to classic rock to just about so many different genres. And so when I was searching for a high energy protest song that still could be danced to, that was dealing with the serious issues of rape and sexual abuse, I started seeing videos about a rapist in your path. And people were saying that this chant dance has somehow become a powerful feminist anthem all over the world. So regarding the origins of this song, the Chilean feminist collective named Las Tesis created this protest chant dance song. And in English, it's again, "A Rapist in Your Path," or in Spanish, "El Violador en Tu Camino." in October 2019, and then they performed it at the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women on November 25th, 2019. And they did so in front of the Ministry of Women's Rights and Gender Equality in Santiago. The chant and the dance are an amazing display of sisterhood and solidarity, and hearing the hundreds of women calling out in unison against this patriarchal system was just so powerful. The chant went viral. It went to 50 countries, and millions of women were performing it across the globe. I link below to a Guardian video which shows some of the various countries that it spread to and the various women's performances. And you can see also that in different countries, some people translated the lyrics into a version of, into their own language. And notably, there was an English version of the chant performed outside the Harry Weinstein trial during the Me Too movement. And I'll link below to that too. So the words really do expose the pervasiveness of rape culture and patriarchy. And I've copied and pasted them in the description below. And I'll just highlight some key lyrics for me, starting with the first verse, which says, "Patriarchy is our judge, who judges us by birth, and our punishment is violence that you can't see. It's the killing of women, impunity for the murderer, it's disappearances, it's rape." And when you see the women squatting and putting their hands on their head, apparently many women, when they were arrested in Chile, had to strip down naked, and they had to do that squatting posture in police custody a lot of times, and they were subjected to all sorts of sexual violence. And as a woman, I just have to say that these words just cut right through to me, that we are born into this patriarchal system where it just feels like our punishment as women, that we are subjected to violence that people don't want to acknowledge, that we're subjected to rape, that we, our killers or rapists go free. So this poignant protest song decries sexual assault, and it can be seen as a metaphor to the oppressive Chilean state, where police and military forces have killed, tortured, and violated numerous women protesters, as well as innocent bystanders during the biggest civil protests since the end of the military dictatorship in 1989. And just a quick aside about Pinochet's dictatorship in Chile. Augusto Pinochet was basically a right-wing dictator that was installed in Chile after the US backed a coup d'etat to oust the democratically elected and very popular president Salvador Allende on September 11th, 1973. Allende was a socialist. He was a medical doctor. He sought to nationalize many of the industries in Chile, including the copper industry. He wanted Chile to be a sovereign nation and not to be under foreign control. He wanted to redistribute land to support small farmers and strengthen trade unions and workers' rights. But America, with its various corporate interests, did not like this, and so they supported Allende's ouster. And you can read previously classified documents that now have been declassified due to the Freedom of Information Act, where U.S. Secretary of State at the time, Henry Kissinger, under President Nixon, helped orchestrate this coup. Anyway, Allende ended up killing himself as the coup started to happen, and Chile went through some horrible years under Pinochet's leadership, and then after Pinochet, where there was still a lot of unrest. So this is in part the result of regime change by the US. So what could go wrong in Iran? More on that next week. So regarding this song's relationship to the Epstein scandal, the song keeps on coming back to the lyric, and the women point, "The rapist is you," highlighting how society is allowing this to happen, that we are the rapists in a certain sense. If any society continues to look the other way and not hold powerful politicians, corporate leaders, famous academics, celebrities, etc., to account for the horrific crimes perpetrated on these young girls and women by their involvement with the Epstein sex trafficking scandal, the words of these Chilean young women will unfortunately ring true. They say the oppressive state is a male rapist. And the song notes that it is the state, and it's even up to the president, to the level of the president. And now in the US, we are in a situation in this country where NPR has recently reported, this was last Tuesday, the same day as the February 24th, the same day as the State of the Union, that there appears to be more than 50 pages of FBI interviews missing from the Epstein files, as well as notes from conversations with a woman who specifically accused Trump of sexually abusing her when she was a minor. And I link below to that article. And yes, even the president, and we know that President Trump has been found liable of sexual assault in the E. Jean Carroll case. So even up to the level of president, we are dealing with this. And so many of you may feel that Trump is going to get away with this, as he has done with so many of his past wrongdoings. And I would say let's not give up hope, though, because this is where sociological theory and not to mention spirituality and just keeping hope alive and the importance of that. But I want to get into sociological theory here. In short, we need to keep speaking up in our civil society. We need everyone to keep the pressure up, to help the survivors, the social movement organizations that are advocating for the survivors, and they are raising awareness, and the alternative media podcasters like The Midas Touch, Keith Edwards, and The Bulwark, Adam Mockler, Luke Beasley, etc., the artists, the writers, the filmmakers, everyone needs to keep highlighting this injustice. Because to keep a democracy functional, the sociologist Jeffrey Alexander, in his very ambitious book, The Civil Sphere, talks about how the buildup and the momentum of a lot of different mediums, which represent various swaths of the population, end up over time having a massive effect on the actual politics, on the courts, on the societal institutions. So I'm running a bit late on this video, so I'm just going to briefly touch on this. And I would say to each of us that we need to continue posting on social media about this. We need to keep talking about it. And yes, we're now at war with Iran, and there's all these other things going on in this very dizzying 24/7 news cycle. But let's not let this story die. Let's keep the pressure up. Let's keep talking about justice for the Epstein survivors. So I also would say let's try and do this protest dance at the No Kings rally. I link below that the dance is pretty easy. You can figure it out. And I also link below to the women doing the chant in English. And also the lyrics are there. So consider it. Consider doing it. I'm going to be trying to rally people here locally to do it. So we are the ones we've been waiting for, my loves. And as Annie Lamott says, no one is coming to save us. And I know that's disappointing. But here we are. We are the ones. Let's do this. And with that, I'll close. May we raise our vibration of love, joy, and unity on this beautiful planet. Here's to the highest individual and collective good for all. The revolution will be danced to. Thank you.